All right, welcome to Season 2, Week 6 of the Prep Phase League here on Sunday. I am Septimus with Siege Lord. Say hello to the people, Siege Lord.
Hey, what up? How's it going? How's the weekend so far?
Doing good on this side. How about yourself?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
So today we've got SPQR versus 2OP. Things got to a little bit of a late start here. Unfortunately, a little bit of a switch up here for SPQR. They weren't able to get a hold of their fourth person and will have to play, it seems like, this first game using a bot. So this is going to change things up for them quite a bit in this first match of the day.
Which is too bad because they've had pretty strong showings last couple weeks when they did have their entire roster. So, oh well.
So yeah, they have had a pretty good run so far, and looks like they are jumping right into the drafting. Like I said, there was a bit of a delay here, so let's hop on over to that.
SPQ are the home teams for this first go around, picking Evos for their first map,
So yeah,
with 2OP banning out the Gray for their first thing,
yeah,
with
almost.
Helio. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was yes, yeah, almost right away. Both those bans came through incredibly quickly.
And then Helio being banned out as well by SPQR. Just standard, not liking the train tools they has, the big annoyance because usually most teams have to take entirely different mods or adrenaline or something, basically suboptimal loadouts in order to make sure they don't get ruined by a Zwombo combo. And sometimes like it can be worth it if you just shut down an entire team doing that, but it's a bit annoying if you just not having to deal with it at all. Lots of teams like to just forget about it in the first place. So the first pick coming in from 2OP is Celeste on Evos.
Yeah,
Pretty solid.
SPQR is going to have to come up with an interesting tactic here because, like we said, they are having to play with a bot this game. So essentially, what they have to do and what we've had to see done in the past is they basically have to pick uh, what Lancer they think is going to be the least detrimental to their team to play the bot. Now, in the past, we've seen, I forget who it was that had to play with the bot previously, but they essentially went with Rask, I believe, or
That was play
like
for fun.
yeah, play for fun. Yeah, so like any frontliner would be a good decision to go with because as far as some of the firepowers who like to be incredibly suicidal, the frontliner is supposed to be up and in the middle of it anyways. So if you got a good support, you can try to kind of make the best of a bad situation.
Yeah, there's another train of thought that you don't want or that it's easier to control people like Nyx who don't have dashes and they'll just like randomly waste their dashes.
Right.
I'm not. I don't think that's the way they'll probably go with it. Judging from the Cork pick, I would agree that it's would probably work out better for a frontliner if Cork just stays on whoever, which would like probably the frontliner as the computer. Try to keep them alive for as long as possible because 2OP is obviously going to focus down the computer player.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is the best tactic to go on if your team is at this kind of it's a straight up it's a disadvantage unfortunately with the roster locks happening in week 4, which is when SPQR started. So they came in with their 5-man roster. It got locked immediately. So unfortunately, they did not have any chance to switch that up in the second half of the season here. And 2OP coming in with Asana and SPQR adding their frontliner as Rampart. So I'm guessing that's not going to be a computer player if they're familiar with just how not the best Rampart's AI is. And 2OP actually going to go with the Grimolitions and Orion choice. So that's kind of an interesting one here.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the Orion turnout last week wasn't too hot. Isn't that who they lost 2 of their games with? Was playing Orion?
Yeah, and it seems like almost every game that Orion's in, I don't believe anybody's actually won with him yet. I may be wrong in that, so there may be a win in there somewhere, but Orion just gets focused down so hard, it's kind of hard for people to get around the fact that he's this huge target. It's almost better choosing another support, even if you consider Orion to be stronger, just to avoid some of that focus that's going on.
Yeah, he's really so supports in general have to rely on where their team goes, because like they're going to want to see where exactly their teammates go so that they can make sure they're as far away from the fight as possible, but can still give put the support things down. So like his shield and his fate transfer, because almost all of his stuff needs to be on somebody else. Unlike someone like Aurora, who can be relatively self-sufficient in trying to peel off people. Um, all of Orion's things, except for his ultimate, want him to be way, way further back, as with his teammates being up in the front line and drawing all the aggro. So I think there might just be a positioning issue here coming from 2OP. I think it's Skyman is the guy who plays it. Yeah, Skyman 566. Just having to make sure that he's not like right up in the front line, not getting harassed by everybody and not getting just immediately focused down, as you were saying.
So yeah, it looks
I
like
like this pick though. Lockwood, I don't know if it's the case anymore, but used to be notorious for being a cheating bot. So making him, they managed to get him, making him a computer player. I like it.
Yeah, you're actually right. Like both Nyx and Lockwood both seems to have that invisible detection, I suppose you could call it, where they would just take these pot shots at people hiding in the shrouds. I don't know if they've really fixed that at all, but I think Lockwood not a bad choice. We may see some just kind of crazy dashes going on, but that may actually work in his favor with the fact that Lockwood's probably just going to be one of the main focus lancers for 2OP here.
The weirder thing is that Lockwood made it through to the fourth pick, or the last pick for SPQR. That's unexpected. I didn't even think about it. I mean, usually he's just off the table or picked immediately, and then this time went all the way through the drafts and they managed to pick him up for the computer.
So yeah, definitely interesting. We do see that occasionally where some of these favorites just kind of come in and are the last one anybody thinks about, or even like the other day we had both Rask and Asana were banned off the table and no one opted to go for Titus, so we were kind of surprised there.
It ended up being Rampart and
Garrison, yeah.
That is unexpected. But I suppose people have decided that the piercing mod on the hook has made Rampart viable, supposedly. It seems like some people are thinking that. I'm not sure if I necessarily agree, but
yeah, I haven't had a whole lot of experience playing Rampart since his buffs, but I have seen a lot more players going for him, and I think just the fact that maybe people think he's a little bit better are giving them more time to play on him, practice with him, and actually develop some just, good play styles to go along with them. So it looks like we've got SPQR is on the blue team here, with 2OP on the red team.
So let's see how this positioning works out, because it's going to be super vital for both. And thankfully for SPQR, the computer locks in their moves almost immediately, and then they may change out based on what they're seeing, but it seems pretty rare.
So yeah, it looks like we have 2OP just clustering up in that tunnel on their side, so kind of curious why they're staying so far back, but currently nobody has any vision, but there doesn't appear to be any last knowns either, so those new little indicators for the movements are a little confusing with those.
Yeah. But as you're saying, Sniper, we'll see how it goes with Sniper Lockwood, right?
Yeah, it looks like we did have Low Tray Kib getting the first hit off onto the Lockwood bot, who's going to go stand on the Might that was picked up by Met as Celeste.
So, I'm already liking this positioning for the Rampart, but it's a little bit unfortunate the way that it's worked out with Nyx being there, because he might get some blowback, or he might get some collateral damage on him just because of the positioning for Rampart. But Rampart obviously went there to make sure that Lockwood doesn't get himself killed immediately.
Looks like we've got that fate transfer going on the low tray kib. Art, as Quark is going to attach to Lockwood bot, who is going to do a pretty decent 3-man light him up. Low tray kib puts the Splorer out. Cornick takes a shot onto Meh, and here comes the smoke hitting all 3 of the forward members of SPQR. And here comes a big bang from Low tray kib and a knockback, or I'm sorry, a pull 2 from Hawk, knocking 4 members out of place. 3 members.
So it's a good pull. Managing to bring out the Celeste from cover is going to be forcing a dash or a flash, almost definitely, because he can see where 3 of the members are and he's in range of Rampart. Doesn't want to get burst down immediately like you would, and it's definitely hard to predict as the 2 OP squad exactly what a computer player is going to do. Even more so, I think, than a standard player.
I think that was actually pretty nice. Meh got pulled actually into their smoke, so if they weren't paying attention, they still might not know exactly where they're at. They are going to take that dash, though, out of there, taking Art and Lockwood bot, giving them some damage on the way out. Plenty of misses happening because of that dash, all doing a swipe on the Lockwood and Quark there. And here comes Low tray kib with a couple mines, one landing on Hawk and one flying off to the side. Skyman, as Orion, is going to drop some damage onto Hawk as well.
Alright, so now basically it's going to be difficult for them being SPQR to make sure they're consistently getting the damage down, because computer players can get spooked pretty easily. So it's going to be pretty reliant on this Nyx if the bot does successfully get focused down, like it seems like he is, to make sure he's getting enough damage to make up for him running away all the time.
And there goes Hawk with the shield facing towards Orion and Awe. Low tray kib's just gonna jump right through it. Awe does not get the hit off, but does get one off on Art. And here comes the smoke from Meh. Gonna land just on Art because of that wall. Blocked it. A little bit of cover damage coming from Quark, attaching that tether to Skyman. And here comes the damage landing right on top of Hawk, completely going around that shield. And then a little bit of damage on Awe, whose bounce stopped him directly in front of the shield.
Quark's doing a good job, though, keeping Lockwood as healthy as possible, getting damage down on sports, even himself. Nyx is a little bit too far out of the fight, though. So, unfortunately, the positioning I was talking about last round is getting punished a little bit. So, we're going to have to hope that they manage to successfully dodge the majority of the damage coming out from this last, who also doesn't actually have good eyes on anybody herself.
So, and there goes that Retribution shield coming off of Awe. We've got an overcharge coming from Skyman. Meh throwing a trap out into that middle area there, hoping to catch someone. And some healing coming out from Skyman on the low tray kib. The overcharge focused onto the Lockwood bot, just trying desperately to keep him alive. Lockwood does bounce a shot in the low tray kib. And it looks like a trap gets going off on Cornick there, standing right by that health, and a double mine on the Art and Lockwood bot. Along with a root coming from Awe, that Pierce root hitting them both. Skyman does take some overcharge damage, so Art is running the double overcharge. But honestly, looks like they might have to stop focusing on that bot so much. Hawk is in a bad spot as well.
Yeah, Hawk's in trouble. They've gotten some good damage down onto Quark. They're spreading out the damage a fair bit, which is exactly what you want to be doing against Quark, because he doesn't want to be changing out where his tethers are, because usually he wants to be doing other things like radiate or repositioning, basically anything other than just changing out.
And there is that tether switch, an amazing bounce from the Lockwood bot. Man, that was good. And there goes Meh throwing his ultimate onto Cornick, who responds with a shot himself. A splort coming from low tray kib, and Awe doing a sweep, catching Hawk with it. And here comes some more displacements. Both Hawk and Art being displaced, and low tray kib being pulled in to where Hawk was previously standing. Hawk does catch a mine on that knockback as well.
Yeah, this energy generation has been extremely good from the 2OP squad, with Met already getting an ult down and getting tons of damage down on the Nyx, as you said, and now Lotre Kiba and the Demolitions has zone. You could potentially burst down the Lockwood and the Quark, depending on exactly how things go here. Skyman's got the ult up on the Orion, which isn't too surprising. It's pretty easy for him, but still.
Yeah, and here we go. Here comes Hawk, putting a little bit of shields on himself as well as getting haste and unstoppable. Art doing that dash towards Awe, and Lockwood with the two-man light him up, catching Skyman behind cover. Med picking up the might and doing 22 onto Cornic, leaving him at 19. Hawk also going for that second win. Will it be enough to save him? He catches some damage from Skyman, some from Lotre Kib. If he doesn't run over a mine, he should be okay. And Awe does a two-man sweep on Lockwood and Lockwood bot and Art. And I can't believe Hawk survived that. He didn't move as well.
Yeah, he has to make sure this positioning is nearly perfect in order to make if he uses his ult to dash out to make sure he doesn't die. Although Quark does have his own ult up, so he could potentially eat a mine if Quark decides to just stand there and ult himself. It's a couple of interesting decisions they got to make in those 20 seconds.
And lots of crit shots all around. Here comes Lockwood's ultimate. Doesn't catch a single person. Hawk ultimates as well. Same thing. Cornic whiffs as well. That's 3 whiffed ultimates coming out of SPQR. That is a huge hit to their team with their life already so low.
Yeah, that's arguably a game right there already, quite frankly. That sucks because Gremolition's ult is still up, and the wall from Hawk on Rampart can't block it. So this is going to be a pretty hurtful counter turn here. Ugh.
So yeah, we might be seeing an ace happening here if those mines hit the way they're supposed to. Here comes Awe with his ultimate. Coming in, should be a 3-man hit. Hawk does throw down that shield, should block this incoming ultimate. And here comes Art with the heal. Will it be enough to save all of them? Meth throwing that trap out, landing it in a common spot. Awe does the drop, hits Art and Lockwood. A bounce shot into Meth from Lockwood bot. It looks like Cornic does use his catalyst to get out of town. And here comes Lotre's ultimate with the taunt, of course. Let's see how it works out for him. Looks like he focuses on every member of the enemy team. Takes out Art and the Lockwood bot, along with some smoke to help him out. Hawk does survive, as well as Cornic on Nyx, thanks to his catalyst.
So Hawk has positioned himself in such a way that he might be able to finish off, or he's trying to finish off the Meh. Meh being the lowest health player on the 2OP squad. Makes a bit of sense, and Skyman's on a good position to heal him up, but Meh has, Flash still up, and then as long as he manages to survive a couple more turns after that, Dash will be back up. He can still take at least 1 hit from the Rampart, so he's not actually in a whole lot of trouble, but that's that Rampart position.
So Skyman activating his turtle tech there. Not sure where he's expecting damage from. But there goes a catalyst from Meg, getting away from Hawk to survive another turn. Skyman takes a guess as to where Cornic is, but it was incorrect. Same thing for Lotre. They expected him to go into one of those shrouds, but he did not. Another missed shot with that vortex round going nowhere. Hawk does a focus on the Awe, hoping that spin around would catch Med there, but Med did catalyst away.
Cornic's managed to go in and grab the health, getting some good buff control down with the Nyx. He's relatively safe considering the Gremolitions moved backwards. So he's going to have to make sure that he's avoiding the mines as much as possible, as well as Skyman can ult. Like, relatively safe. We're going to see exactly who focuses where.
And here comes that third ability from Rampart. And a swipe from Awe, along with a hit from Meh. Meh also picks up that health bubble. Lotre gonna launch a couple mines out, catching Cornic and placing one in the path. Skyman dropping down the damage, finishing Cornic off. And here comes the hook from Hawk, pulling Awe right next to him.
That was optimistic of the Rampart, pathing over onto the health, but as you said, Matt already snaked it with an auto attack, managed to pick up the health globe. So it's going to be difficult at this point to finish off the Celeste, and they should probably change targets over onto somebody else that's more likely for them to be able to kill. Maybe being down 3-0, it's going to be difficult for them to come back in the first place.
And here comes that damage buff from Skyman onto Awe, along with a Fate Transfer, or no, a heal. And here comes Lotre bouncing in, landing right on Art, so he catches that extra mind damage to light him up from Lockwood. Only deals cover damage to Lotre and Skyman, and the Splort coming from Lotre. Lots of focus here on Quark, who misses the aggressive tether, and a single claw from Met finishes Rampart off. And Met also picks up a health globe there too, a minor one.
Yeah, this is bad news now that they have the Lockwood not isolated, but surrounded by the entire enemy team, and there's only so much that Quark can do to keep him alive, especially without having the tether on already. It's gonna be extremely difficult. I imagine within this turn, maybe the next one, that Lockwood's gonna go down, if not the Quark.
You are not
So Skyman taunting that Fate Transfer there. Awe has all sorts of protection on them now. Here comes Meh with a trap, just throwing it into that middle area. Awe doing a dash onto Art and Lockwood there. Lockwood going to catch a shot, but doesn't do a whole lot of damage because of that Fate Transfer. A couple mines coming out from Lotre, trying to catch whoever's coming out of that portal. And a double claw from Meh does catch Art, but not a whole lot else going on that turn. It looks like they did catch Cornet coming out of that portal with a mine.
Yeah, and they would have eyes on him as well with the positioning for the Celeste. Would have saw him when he initially hopped into the bush, as well as now that the spawn points don't hide inside bushes. They know that Rampart's coming out right there. So they have a pretty good idea about where the entire SPQR squad are at this point.
So, and here comes that tether from Art going back onto the Lockwood. Mad doing a dash, just trying to get away. They're so far ahead, they're just trying to survive at this point. All with only 35 health. Takes a shot from Lockwood. Lockwood then takes some damage from Skyman. And Cornick misses a shot because of the dash. Lotre comes out with the big bang taunt. And here it goes right onto the Lockwood, knocking him over, leaving him with only 8 health for this next turn.
5 turns remaining.
Lockwood does have dash, catalyst, and ultimate, so this shouldn't be a turn that goes down. But the Quark though does also has dash up, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a change of focus this particular turn, just because obviously the entire 2OP squad sees that the Lockwood has all these dashes up themselves. Can't really expect to be able to kill him at 10 HP.
And here comes Lockwood with the ultimate, catches both Skyman and Lotre. And all with the Pierce on his root. Only catches Art though. The trap goes off, hitting Cornick, and there goes the smoke, not catching anyone from Meh. Lotre does throw out some mines on the Hawk and Art. And here comes Skyman with his ultimate. Blam!
Nice.
Killing Lockwood, catching Cornick for 30. And Cornick answering with a shot to Awe. Art gonna add into that for the last 2 damage, giving them their first kill of the game. And Hawk wants to be in on that as well. Throws a hook out.
Well, at least they got somebody. I mean, they're can't be too surprised with the result because, well, a bot, right? There's only so much you can do. I think that they went about it the right way. Like, their plan made a lot of sense having to deal with a bot. It's just unfortunate that they had to deal with a bot at all.
Yeah, that is true. And of course, you know, Lockwood actually had put out some really decent damage that turn, doing just actually a little bit more than Meh was able to on Celeste. Did, however, take 2 deaths. Obviously was the focus. So it was, once again, like you said, just very unfortunate. Cornick was also out of position several turns there and wasn't able to put out the damage he really needed to kind of capitalize on certain situations. But 2OP played an excellent game. Their positioning was really on par. So I really got to give them some credit for that. Lotre just did an impressive amount of damage. 522, was almost able to hit 2 shots on every single turn, and those times he wasn't able to get the 2 shots down, he was able to lay one in a path so someone walked over it. So just top notch.
Yeah, that comment about Lockwood out damaging Meh, you gotta also take into account that the damage that Meh put down was important damage, whereas Lockwood's was not so much.
Yeah. Well, like, once again, he put out the damage, but he was just a bot, so it was just damage straight up. None of it was, particularly contributing 100% of the time, and if it was just a good thing. So, bots can do lots of damage, doesn't mean it's going to count for anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So, not to mention, Meh was also just playing a high survivability half the time. He was only throwing a single claw out. The other one was going for a health buff, a minor health buff, some other buff, doing the Celeste thing, right? So
Yeah.
he wasn't even using his full potential damage the entire time and was still able to get his damage up that high.
So did you get an update though? Has SPQR managed to get in contact with one of their fourths?
So checking on that right now.
Because I sure hope so. As we said, they managed to. People made kind of a big deal that they were able to kill Avaki for the first time. They've managed to get a fair number of wins that people didn't necessarily expect them to right out of the gate. So I'd like to see them with their whole squad on these last couple of games.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they did come in and they did play against Cookie Cutters and did quite well against them. And looks like Rafalica is here, so that is good news.
Sweet.
Fantastic. So looks like we are just waiting for one more person to show up here.
Do you recall, is Rafalica usually their frontliner or?
Well, let's take
firepower player?
let's take a look here. So, Zamadar is typically their. I know for sure is typically their. I'm losing the words here today. Their support. Yeah, there we go. So Rafalica looks like he is typically playing on. Now he has only played 2 games, but was their support was their frontliner both times. Looks like he does favor Garrison. Out of both the games he played, that was his pick. But once again, has only played 2 games, so we don't really have a whole lot of data on him as a player.
Well, if he's a good Garrison, that would be sweet. If he manages to bring out a win with him, that'd be even cooler.
So, all right, looks like these guys are chomping at the bit, ready to go. So they should be readying up here any second. There they go. Let's put the website up on the big screen.
All right, cool. So this time around, it's 2 OP's map, which means SPQR will get their first pick. I don't imagine they're going to get Lockwood again, but you never know.
So it looks like they are going for Evos again. Evos has actually been incredibly popular this season, along with Flyaway Freighter, whereas, in Season 1 we saw Cloudspire was the dominant map picked at 50%, where now we're seeing a lot more variety in the map choices. And looks like we've got Celeste in as the ban for SPQR, 2OP banning Helio away. Both those bans coming in incredibly quickly. They knew exactly what they wanted to take off the table.
Yeah, Celeste adaptation ban. I don't really mind it, especially if they are comfortable playing Helio. Not banning out the Helio and making sure that they get rid of basically the most annoying, or who they see as the most annoying from last game. There was the extremely high damage numbers coming from the Gremolitions, but Celeste was just winning duels all over the place. So
absolutely,
they don't want to have to deal with that. The Lockwood though, they did manage to get the Lockwood because it did get through. The Helio ban was what came from 2OP. So now that they have an actual player playing it, I'm certain we'll see a different type of Lockwood.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, SPQR banning that Celeste so it doesn't get picked. 2OP with that standard Helio ban, letting SPQR snatch Lockwood up in their first pick. Because they are the away team, they do get that slight advantage. And 2OP first picking Orion. So, interesting tactic there. Uh, definitely be
Tell us how you
asked.
really feel,
Yeah,
Septimus.
definitely be curious about that first pick. We'll likely be asking that as a question should they win this game, and we decide to go for them as the interviews.
Yeah, that's yeah. Usually,
Let's just
no,
call it
I
a
don't.
yeah. Let's just call it a bold move, and
Yeah, I would never say that Orion necessitates a first pick. I mean, nobody else ever picks him, and there's no reason to think that SPQR is going to try and take him away. So,
right,
with,
and they do pick up Asana as their second pick. They did get two choices as the home team for their first picks, but yeah. So Ryan, like, you wouldn't expect SPQR to be taking that away. There's very few support players currently that actually favor Orion. So the fact that they would just pick him up first, I was kind of curious as to what their thought process was there.
the Blackburn too, that also seems a little bit curious. I mean, I guess they didn't like the performance for the Knicks. They decided not to go with that, but there's still higher priority power pick firepowers like Gremlins and Gray, for example. But maybe nobody really plays them, so.
Well, I don't know. I think Blackburn, since the just the small buffs he got to his ultimate and his grenade, really stepped him up as a firepower. And on maps like Evos and Cloudspire, where his dash really has a lot of advantage, he is actually quite strong. Once you get him on Flyway, though, he kind of loses a little bit of that advantage just because it's such a spread out map.
Yeah, no, I agreed that he's situationally viable. It's just he's not like a super power pick or
And
anything like that.
yeah, and there comes that Quark, and of course that Garrison, who I'm going to assume is going to Rafalica. 2OP, of course, picks up that Grimo and is making their last decision now. Only has 17 seconds left.
Who would you like to see in this last go? Yeah,
There we go, Gray. Yeah, I
that.
had to be. I was assuming it was going to be one of those top tier picks that was left. Gray was pretty much right there at the top of the list.
Yeah, they obviously have respect for that as a Lancer. You can tell even just with the pick and bans with this particular set, because they banned out Gray last time, so they feel like she's strong.
All right, looks like we're just waiting on those teams to ready up. Well, yeah, so just looking at the compositions here, because, I mean, both teams have kind of a little bit of an off composition. You've got Garrison as the frontliner for SPQR. 2OP, of course, opted to go with Orion as their support, which is not I guess not a standard that we've seen laid out. He is a new character, of course, so that may change in the future, but until people have really gotten practiced with him and learned him fully, I think, it's still just kind of an iffy choice.
Yeah, I'm still not convinced. I mean, Skyman did manage to secure that kill on Lockwood last go on Orion, but I'm not super on board with Orion as a champion quite yet.
Well,
We'll have to see how this goes.
You know, it's funny. I actually should have known they were gonna pick Orion, because Skyman, if you've ever spoken with him, is like the largest Orion fan I've ever met. He absolutely loves that character, and absolutely mains him as more than anybody else I know. It was just the first pick that kind of threw me off a little bit, but SPQR is actually coming across with a pretty strong composition here. You got Lockwood and Blackbird, both very solid firepowers. Garrison, not the strongest frontliner, but if he's got Quark attached to him the whole time, then should be just fine, I think. Looks like we are going to have to start the match over, because they went ahead and chose Flyaway and forgot to change the map. And it wasn't even the newer team that did it. So we will get that fixed up right away. But, back to it, we've got 2OP, Grimo and Gray. Once again, two very solid freelancers. Gray more so than Grimolitions. Grimolitions a little bit more situational.
Well, if it was this map, they would love to have Gremlins.
Yeah, absolutely. And Evos still they're still pretty solid on Evos as well. It's still a larger map. But then you've got Asana, obviously the top tier frontliner at this point after Raz got his, we'll call it equalization. And then, of course, Orion, the newest support to join the game. I mean, is there one team you're favoring here more than the other based strictly off composition?
On Evos, on composition, SPQR, I would definitely like. But sorry, just leaving this game that I got roped into. Yeah, because I always like Gray. Gray can be super safe while still being a pretty strong duelist, depending on exactly how you build her. So that's a good pick, but she still loses to Lockwood, quite frankly, because Lockwood is Lockwood. Quark and Blackburn can be a super annoying kind of firepower tanky combo. So that's another segment of that I like. And yeah, just if you get good shot selection, and with Garrison managing to go in there and just constantly, like, with tons of disruption, tons of harass, they should be having eyes down on exactly where the support is at all times, so they know who he can heal, and then they can just keep randomly assigning targets, because it's like fighting against the Quark. You want to be spreading out the damage as much as possible, as opposed to if you're against someone like Finn, who has an AoE heal, and it's not really as big of a deal if you're single target damaging onto somebody.
So it looks like the match is back up. So if you could just jump in, we'll get started right back up, since it looks like everybody's good to go.
Yeah, it kicked me out the first time.
There we
I thought
go.
it was different map. Cool.
All right. So jumping right back in here on the correct map this time.
Yeah.
So hopefully SPQR does a little bit better. You know, we talked about them a little bit, where they actually had a kind of surprising entrance into the Preface League, where their very first game, they went out and just hunted Avaki down. Their very second game, let me take a look back here so I don't incorrectly state facts. Yeah, their very second game, they went up against Cookie Cutters, a veteran league team, and swept them. Just straight up beat them completely. Of course, in week 5, didn't do quite so well. They did get beat out by 12 Ducks, another one of the newer teams here, and then split a game with Love Bites. So they're going up against some of these veteran teams and taking points away from them. And then, of course, they went up against 12 Ducks, which really kind of had a surprising week 5 and did quite well.
Were the games at all tight against Trash, or did all they do was chase down Avaki and then lose the game?
I think pretty much all they did was chase down Avaki, honestly. I think it was one of those situations where they knew they didn't stand much of a chance, so they decided to make a name for themselves. I've actually been referring to it as a great bit of PR.
If you say so, that's a little bit disappointing, for me at least.
I mean, they were playing the game as it was going to be played, but they were targeting Avaki for sure.
Gotcha. So now, since we got the long range cop coming in from 2OP, can expect to see some scouting, get some mines down for a little bit of scouting, as well as the gray drone in some not random, but in some direction downrange, to make sure they got eyes at least on one side of the map, so they know for sure where the opposing team is.
All right, looks like Meth throwing Rio out to the wrong side. Doesn't catch any vision on the team. Of course, Garrison does run into view, but doesn't look like SPQR has vision on anybody, because Lotre and Skyman are in the shroud there.
Yeah, so even though they didn't see anybody with the gray drone, they didn't see anybody go through it, and Awe isn't catching anybody either. So they have a pretty good idea that the majority of the team is with Garrison, as well as the fact they even see the Quark being on to Garrison. So they have a good idea.
And here comes that overcharge from Art, getting some overhealing onto Raph. And of course, Skyman looked like he threw that Fate Transfer onto Awe just in case they were on that side. Raph does catch a mine from Lotre Kib, and then just lots of pot shots going out trying to find the enemy team. Hawk does walk over a mine, though.
Yeah, this positioning can be pretty brutal, depending on if they, depending on if 2OP managed to successfully punish this grouping with the twin firepowers and the support all within this little healing box over on the left-hand side, or at least left-hand side of my screen. So we'll have to see exactly how they manage to, if they manage to successfully spread out, or if they get locked down first at next round.
Here comes Rao with a jump. Does not catch anybody, though. He will get that energized next round. Couple more pot shots coming out. Looks like they were all going to focus on Rafalica there. Looks like Lotre and Skyman do catch missiles from Raf, though. And a couple mines being launched out, but nothing catching anybody. That sweep from Awe catching both Art and Hawk there. And lots of retribution damage going out. So a good round for all.
I think I would have liked to see a route there, try to lock down, particularly the Lockwood in the middle there without any cover, and then obviously the Blackburn or Blackburn and the Cork, and then just have the Asana move onto the center themselves and just forcing out flashes from Lockwood, because there's no way Lockwood would be able to stand there and continue to survive and just to get the health, as long as the rest of the team got in position to burst him down as well.
Yeah, it looks like Hawk does use his might and jumps a dash there, causing Awe to dash way out of position. Skyman dropping some damage down onto Art, and here comes Rio. Looks like Art is a little bit of a focus here. Lotre coming in with the Splort, doing a little bit of damage to Rafalica. And here comes the mines. One onto Art and one onto Cornic. Cornic then bounces a shot but misses Awe because of that dash. And Raf putting the slow and some damage onto Mel, as well as Hawk doing that spray from his dash.
I really like that dash from Hawk. It punished the dash from Awe so much. I was trying to be a little bit sneaky and snake out that healing from Lockwood. And yeah, since he didn't lock the hit onto Blackburn, just went way out of the fight, and he's gone for at least one, if not maybe 2 rounds.
Yeah, it looks like Rafalica activating that turtle tech as well as Art. And Hawk catching a little bit of healing. We see Med dashing out of there away from Garrison. Skyman dropping a 2-man hit on the Hawk and Art. Art catches a little Rio damage after that. Raf only catches Lotre because of Med's dash there. Lotre also catches a tether from Quark, and both Lotre and Skyman catch a light 'em up coming from Cornic. And here comes that big bang, a 3-man hit onto Cornic, Art, and Hawk, throwing them all out of position and all out in the open, out of cover.
Yep, so that now this Blackburn is in a fair bit of trouble because he did use his dash in order to punish out the Asana, but as you said, outside of cover, he can potentially get bursted down. Almost needs to be using a flash at this point, or a turtle tech if that's what he also took. And yeah, at this point, it's definitely Blackburn that's in a rough state.
Yeah, and they've got so many good choices to pick from here with pretty much everybody out of cover for them. Cornic throws a trap out, tries to catch one of those guys surrounding Hawk, who does catalyst out. Art does a dash onto Awe as well, and Lotre jumping as well. Raf does do a rocket shot onto both Skyman and Awe. Skyman answers, but misses because of Art's dash. Looks like they were trying to focus Quark there, but Quark got out of town. Awe does do a one-space move across that trap.
I think I would have preferred... Yeah, I think I would have preferred for the dash to be going on to hit Skyman, because going after the tank is always a pretty rough proposition, and the support was an option, quite frankly. So I'm not a super big fan of that, but he still managed to successfully dodge a whole heck of a lot of damage, The Gremlin has his own ult up at this point, landing all those mines and all that damage. This could be a potentially very painful turn.
And here comes Awe catching that Fate Transfer. Looks like Art is going to opt to Catalyst this turn and go ahead and avoid more damage. A grenade from Hawk catches both Skyman and Awe, doing good damage to Skyman because of that Fate Transfer. A shot hit from Raph onto Med. Here comes Lotre with the ultimate. All over the place, catching Cornic, Raph, and Hawk. Raph is going to put a punch onto Skyman and Lotre. And here comes the swipe, not catching anyone because of the Catalyst. Lotre catching more damage from Cornic, leaving him with single-digit health.
Oh, wow. So now this turn can expect a lot of value from the Orion ults, just because he's surrounded and can hit all three of those people if nobody gets out. And we know for a fact that Cork won't get out. So this could potentially spell Cork's death. No, it looks like Gremlin is just probably, yeah, too far away to get help with the damage down on him.
Alright, all sorts of dashes there from Raph and from Cornic there, getting out of that damage zone. Hawk does do a shot onto Awe there, and Lotre launching a couple mines out, but not getting anybody. Here comes Rio, focusing in on Art, and hits Raph as well on its way over. A rocket coming from Raph hits Matt, and here comes Art attaching his tether to Skyman. Some support on support action. Skyman with the taunt, throws his ultimate out there. Bam! Drops Art down to only 16 health.
Wasn't this good when I was a lad?
So, Rafalica on Garrison could potentially have killed this Gremlins by hopping over. Yeah, by hopping within range of his passive missiles, but he didn't know for sure that Gremlins wasn't going to be in the bush, and if he was in the bush, even if you were standing right next to him, he wouldn't have landed the damage. Oh yes, if he was right next to him, it would have worked, but otherwise no.
And there goes a double dart from Met, all with the ultimate, comes in, does not catch damage on anybody, but should protect Lotre at least for one turn. Looks like a little bit of a pause here, but here comes the rockets from Rao, one catching Lotre and the other on Met, and the ultimate dropping right onto Met's head. Only for 28 damage though, because of that weakened. Cornic doing a straight shot on the Skyman, Lotre launching a couple mines out. One hits Hot directly, the other on the Might. Met takes a shot into Raph, finishing him off. And here comes Skyman using his damage to finish off Cork.
Yeah, there it is. It's a rough go. Hawk did manage to successfully win the race to get the health on the spawn side. So the only problem is that everybody would definitely know where he went. If they count the spaces, they might even know exactly where he is on location-wise, so Gremlins can get the damage down in one way or another onto him, and maybe even the dash from Asana if feeling really bold to go and try to hit him.
Does look like he is using that healing stim, though. Skyman does throw a heal onto Lotre. And here comes a couple mines. One does land right on the Hawk, the other in a cover position. Hawk does move the other direction, though.
Race over for the other heal, potentially. But this is a race that he'll lose with the Asana being right there. There's no way that he can know that. Oh, yeah, he does know. He knows from the Lockwood's positioning, having seen him walk right by. But this Lockwood's going to go in and try to intercept not only the Grey, but the Gremlins, and maybe they'll help tie it up.
And there is that Fate Transfer going on to Lotre. Here comes the ultimate from Cornic. Med does dash out of the way. He does catch Lotre, but a lot of that damage is mitigated because of the Fate Transfer coming from Skyman. A couple mines being launched out, trying to catch Garrison as he comes out of that portal. And oh my goodness, he catches 5 of them.
Wow. Yeah, that was bad.
It looks like
that's the danger of just setting your guy to follow, right? Is that sometimes you fall into positions that you really, really did not want to take. This turn, they should be able to get him down as long as the Lockwood doesn't get too spooked. They would win this duel. Lockwood might go down depending on how things go.
So, and here come the dashes. Aw does hit Hawk there, bouncing off of him. A catalyst up on the top side from Skyman as well. And here comes Rio dropping that gray ultimate down. Cornic with a light him up does finish off Lotre along with a little help from Rafalika's punch. But here comes the big bang. Oh my goodness. Knocks Cornic right through that gray ultimate.
Yeah. Successful kill. Good kill.
Oh man.
Wow.
So catches Art as well. Rafalika also displaced.
Yeah, that's a bit unfortunate. Hawk didn't move either over on his end of the map, even though he broke the bush. Usually when you're breaking bushes, unless there's also cover spots there, you're going to be wanting to move to a new position so that it's not super obvious where you are.
Oh, and Art attaches a tether to Meh there, gets a little cover damage on him. And here comes the ultimate from Hawk, catching both Meh and Aw. And Rio comes in, catching both Art, does a little damage to Hawk. Here comes the swipe, does 22, leaving Hawk with only 6 life.
Can't get rid of me that easy.
I'm not sure what that garrison positioning is, because if that drone didn't leave, he would have stopped right inside the drone damage, and there's not really any particular reason why you'd want to be doing that. He didn't even like go over to contest the health that Skyman's hanging out at, or get into a decent position to even shoot out at the gray.
Looks like all sorts of dashes happening in that turn. Hawk does his dash and spray. Raph tries to jump on the Meh, but Meh does catalyst out of there. Looks like Skyman puts a little damage on the Art, and Aw tries to predict the dash, but does not quite get the right spot, missing by about a pixel.
5 turns remaining. Stay focused.
They did see exactly where Gray did go with her flash, because she was tethered from the from the cork, so they can get rounds down onto her. But at this point, Hawk is definitely in a bad position with being chased down by the Sasana, and can potentially get shot from an ulting collisions.
And the ultimate comes out from Art. Might be enough to save Hawk. We will see some tranquilizer darts hitting both Art and Rafalika. And here comes the jump, hitting 3 members of the enemy team, leaving Hawk at 20. Hawk throws out a grenade on the Aw, doing 33 damage. And Meh takes a shot, hitting Art. Cornic with the light him up only catches 1 target with Skyman because of Lotre's jump out of there.
4 turns remaining.
Hawk's actually been doing a pretty good job of surviving, all things considered. I mean, he's been getting run down by this Asana almost all game, along with the random shots coming in from Gray. And now he got hit by Gremlins. Like, he's been doing pretty good for himself, managing to drag all those aggro out and not die. Like, that's the most important part. Like, no matter how much damage, as long as you don't die taking it.
And there he is with that healing stim again, bringing himself up to 31 health. Aw decides to catalyst onto the health just to deny it. With this lead, that might not be a bad idea. Art does take a shot from Gray there. Rafalika doing a rocket shot right into Skyman's face, slowing him as well. Looks like Meh's also going to catch a bounce shot from Cornic. And here comes Lotre with the ult, hitting Hawk for not quite enough. Art not quite enough. And Raph as well. But Skyman does the finish onto Hawk with that nice Orion basic attack.
Yeah, and Korok needs to dash this turn in order to make sure that he's not the 5th kill. Excuse me, but he'll have to make sure that he dashes somewhere that he can't get hit for the next couple of turns, because 17 health, a stiff wind can kill him at this point.
Stiff wind. I like that. So, alright, Skyman putting a little damage on himself in case Quark decides to dash at him. Very smart. Art does have 22 health and dashes 2 spaces away, attaching to Cornic. Here comes Lotre with a couple mines. Doesn't catch anybody just outside the range, and Meh moving in with Rio does hit Art, leaving him at 11 health. Oh, and that just barely misses by a pixel. Skyman's basic attack not quite catching Quark there.
2 turns.
Oh, he's got the chase. That was pretty good that he chases him away. Make sure he can't get finished off by the drone just sitting there. But this now makes it so that there's a near perfect 3-man ultimate can come in from Meh on Gray, as well as the support coming from Asana, and even Gremlicians can get in on the action if he chooses.
Touch me and bleed.
Looks like going to throw that Retribution Shield up just to deal out any extra damage here. Art does get a little bit of health from that attached tether, and going to taunt the dash in. Bouncing right off of Art.
Wow.
And that tether missing completely. A light him up coming from Cornic does catch Meth through cover damage, as well as a rocket shot from Raph. And here comes the Grey ult. Doesn't look like it will be needed here, but oh my goodness, knocking Art right through it. The overkill was insane.
Well, that's how you do it, though, right? You
Victory.
even if okay, so no matter what, when it's the 5th kill, if there's no escapes, you just throw everything into him. Just make sure you win the game, right? There's no reason to risk it.
Got to get those
That's what
style
they did.
points, right?
And they got it. They got the win. That's all that matters, right? So they're on their way to potentially tying for 3rd place.
All right, looks like, man, Lotre really dishing out the damage with Gremlicians there, 644. Wow.
Yeah, just lots of consistent damage, always getting rounds down range. Oh, like not always, but a fair bit of the mines as well were landing, or hitting their target, I suppose I should say. Especially that one time where he dragged Garrison through like the entire minefield. That was pretty brutal.
Yeah, that was good.
He's got consistently getting 2 ults before round 18, before round 17 actually even. Like his energy gain has been pretty on point. But I wouldn't mind if we're going for people. Like that seems like a good enough interviewer.
Yeah, well, go ahead and get them pulled in here. I will leave that up to you as far as who you're going to snag for that interview.
Oh, whoops, that was the wrong.
All right. So, well, there was an excellent game for 2OP versus SPQR. SPQR did have the unfortunate downside of having a bot in the first game there and lost pretty handily. Was not a total loss, though. They were able to get 1 kill in the final round, so did not make it a complete sweep of that particular game. They were able to do a little bit better in the second game, but 2OP, of course, being number 3 currently with the week 5 standing, tied with Voltaic for 3rd, just very handily was able to take out SPQR, a newcomer to the league, though they have been doing quite well for themselves as a brand new team.
And we're bringing in Lotre right here. There we go. Hey, how's it going there, Lotre? Congratulations, good sweep.
Thank you. Hey.
So I think the question that is that's burning in all of our minds here, Game 2, during the drafting phase, y'all first picked Orion. What was the thought process there? Because that was the first time we've ever seen that happen.
It was just Skyman who wanted to pick Orion first.
Okay, so just no real reason to it. You just wanted to make sure you got Orion for Skyman. I know he's a huge fan of that character.
Yeah.
Do you really think that he necessitates grabbing him first? Like, there's not really any competition to grab Orion, right?
I don't think there is.
Do you? So, what do you think about this this newer team, the SPQR guys? Now that you've actually played them.
Well, I really think they didn't have luck to have a bot on their first game because they are really easy to predict.
Right.
And besides that, I think they just have to practice a little more and they'll be way better.
do you think even if I forget the one fellow's name, Raph, do you think if he keeps it up on the Garrison, if he manages to just bring, PPL tactics, he could make Garrison viable, or would you like to see him change over to a more meta frontliner?
Well, I don't think there is a meta right now. I don't care about what Trash says. But yeah, what bothers me is some turns I didn't do anything at all. I don't know why.
Right. I know what you're referring to. I saw a couple of that as well. Or they got into like really weird positioning with their sprint turns. Yeah, I know what you mean. Fair enough.
No, like Blackburn used his Adrenal Steam and didn't attack, or things like that.
Oh, really? Oh, right. He used it for his heal to try to survive.
Yeah.
And then it didn't work out. Right. Fair enough. So you're expecting to win your next go as well? In order to make sure you tie for third, you're playing Nerd Nexus right away, right?
Yeah, brand new team to the league, Nerd Nexus. So we're not really sure what to do, how they're going to do today. But I know you may know some of the players in it. How are you feeling? You guys are expecting to perform?
I think we'll have to be careful, but it really depends on the pick and ban phase.
Oh, you think it'll be decided in the pick and ban phase?
Well, if you get the right character, the one you can play the best with, you'll have more chance to win than if you get a character you're not used to play.
So if they take away your Gremlins, do you think they have a chance? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Oh, okay.
I can play other characters. I think I am proficient with at least 6 characters, so I don't think I have a problem with that.
Yeah, it's good to have a deep pool. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So,
Unless there's anything else from Septimus, I think we can let you go.
No, I think that is it. Just want to say congratulations on your wins here, and good luck with your next games. Can't wait to see you guys in the tournament.
Well, thank you, and thanks for casting us.
Yeah, absolutely.
No worries.
Always our pleasure. So, all right. Well, that was our first game here on the YouTube. 2 OP versus SPQR. SPQR, of course, the veteran team here, does take it as a sweep. And we, of course, will be taking a short break here on YouTube while we prepare for the next match. Should be about a 5-minute break. So we will be back here shortly, and you will be joining us for Play for Fun versus SPQR.
It was 2OP who took that match, and I think people, if they didn't pay attention to the Trash game before, might be worth noting that Trash lost their first game.
So yes, they did lose their first game, but it was due to a disconnect, so it was very unfortunate for them. So, but it does kind of go down in history here in the league.
Yeah.
But but on that note, we will go ahead and take our break here. We'll be back in about 5 minutes with SPQR versus Play for Fun.
Queens.